Hello everyone, it's Will King and I'm here to tell you all about how the Rockets could end up with Chris Paul, James Harden, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade in the 2018 NBA season. It all started with the Chris Paul trade earlier this summer and will likely continue with the inevitable Carmelo Anthony trade to the Houston Rockets. One thing that really makes you think about this is the whole quote-unquote banana squad from the picture of Chris Paul, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade out hanging out together. They're all very close. They played together on the Olympics teams. Anyway, Chris Paul's contract is set to expire at the end of this season. And personally, I wish that James Harden had taken a smaller contract than the Supermax one that he just signed for. But even with that contract, it is still possible. The first step right now is going to be getting Carmelo Anthony out of the hands of the New York Knicks. It's going to have to be with a 3-team trade, most likely, where Ryan Anderson, they've talked about the Portland Trail Blazers. They'll likely send Ryan Anderson to the Trail Blazers and several picks to the Knicks and the Trail Blazers. I'm not sure the exact specifications on that, but that is how it'll likely have to send another smaller value player with Ryan Anderson to get close enough to Carmelo's contract to make the trade. Follow the rules and bring Carmelo here. So it'll likely end up, if it were me, I'd get rid of PJ Tucker. I don't like that signing at all. He's a decent player. He's older. He's about the same age as LeBron, but he's a decent player. He's nothing special, and you're giving away $7 million that could be in the pocket of some future superstars coming to Houston in the next year. I don't like it. I think it's a 4-year deal, and I'm not a fan of it at all. If it were me, I'd send Ryan Anderson and PJ Tucker both out the door for Carmelo Anthony. Anyway, let's see how this figures into the 2018 offseason. Right now, we're in a tough situation. We're $20 million over the salary cap, but in the 2018-19 season, we'll lose several players to free agency, and this is what we'll basically have under contract at the end of the season. So far, we have $17 million in practical cap space for that season. But an interesting thing to think about is a player can restructure their contract 3 years after signing a 4 or 5 year contract. Carmelo Anthony will still have a couple years left, and I think he would be wise. He wants to play with LeBron and everybody, and he wants a title bad. That's why he wants to get out of New York. It's at this point, I don't think it's nearly as much about money as it is a title for him. So I think he would be willing to renegotiate his contract down to, I'd say maybe 15. I think he'd be willing to do that to bring in LeBron James. So I'm just going to work with Ryan Anderson and pretend that that's Carmelo. That's an extra. I'm just working off I'm doing it in my head, but that's $5 million extra. That leaves us with $22 million at this point. If we end up trading for Carmelo without getting rid of PJ Tucker, and if we don't get rid of PJ Tucker this offseason, I think the smartest thing to do would be to trade him, maybe even do like a Brock Osweiler trade and bundle a pick with him to just get him off of our salary cap, which would then move us in. We'd have I'm just going to round it up to $30 million in salary cap in the 2018 season. That $30 million can be spent. I would probably divide it up, maybe give, I think, and LeBron in Miami when he was signed for less so that he could play with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, he was making about $20 million a year, and that was when he opted out. He was due about $20 million the next season. So I think he'd be willing to dip down to $20 million. I mean, the man already makes about $50 million off the court. So if he goes and we sign him for $20 million, we can sign Dwayne Wade for I think Dwayne would be willing to sign for about $10 million. Maybe, LeBron will take a little less and he'll take a little more. Maybe, hell, we can get rid of another player, maybe even Eric Gordon. He's a great player. He's one of my favorite players on the team. But Eric Gordon or LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, I think that's an easy That's the easy answer. I'd rather have LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. But at that point, we can work that all out. But you might be thinking to yourself, well, that leaves the Rockets with no money. But Chris Paul that'll leave the Rockets with no money for Chris Paul. But that's not true. Chris Paul initially signed a 5-year deal. So as a free agent next year, the Rockets will have bird rights on him and can sign him for however much money he wants. It doesn't matter. I don't know how much he'll take. I'm not sure. I'm not close to Chris Paul in any way, shape, or form. But they can give him any money that he wants, as they will have bird rights on him at the end of this season. So yeah, LeBron James will be making $20 million. I wish James Harden had taken less in his last contract. Now, if you think about it, it is very possible for LeBron James to take $20 million and Dwayne Wade to take 10. Maybe we get rid of somebody else too, and can bump that up. Maybe Nene or Eric Gordon, and they can each make a great amount of money and come play. I think, because Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul, we'll have 3 really good guards. So Dwayne Wade could immediately fill in and be the 6th man where Eric Gordon was. I feel like he'd be willing to accept that role to get to play with LeBron and Chris Paul and all of his friends. And I think he'd be willing to do that. And that's something that would be incredible. That honestly, in my opinion, that might be one of the best teams ever. And that's better than, you're not going to tell me LeBron James, James Harden, Chris Paul, Carmelo, Dwayne Wade isn't better than the Warriors are right now. I mean, most people would agree that LeBron James one-on-one is head-to-head is better than Kevin Durant. And you got Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul and James Harden. That backcourt is definitely better than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, I would think. And Carmelo, he'd probably have to play power forward. He'd be a little bit of a small power forward, but I think he could really help out on that end. And I think he can defend Carmelo fairly well. If not, you got other players. The Warriors don't even have a center. That I haven't even talked about Clint Capella, who is a starting caliber center in this league, and in my opinion, a pretty good player. And so yeah, the Rockets will have bird rights on Chris Paul and can likely be able to sign all 3 of those players in the 2018 NBA offseason. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Leave it a like. Let me know in the comments if you think it's going to happen, or you think I'm just a homer and I'm full of shit and I'm just crunching numbers trying to make shit happen. I think it's very likely, if we do get this deal with Carmelo, that LeBron James will want to come and play in Houston, and Dwayne Wade will want to come too. He'll be done with his contract with the Bulls at that time, and I think it's a perfect fit for all of them. I don't know about Dwayne Wade having to play in the 6-man spot. I think he'd be willing to do it. I don't know. I'm also, I'm not close to Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Thanks so much.